At what point can we expect to hear, well, actually, we feel we've moved forward? At this point, we actually feel that we are in a position where our work is reaping rewards.
And it's a difficult question, because the structural deficit is the inheritance, and the structural deficit of 80 billion, whatever you however you work it out precisely, is what we're aiming to reduce by the end of this Parliament to zero, virtually zero. Now, the latest forecast suggests we won't get there, and that, of course, is a function of growth, inflation, strength of sterling and so on. And so it is slightly a moving feast, but I know that the government isn't going to want to cut even further or raise taxes even higher. This is about as much pain as anybody thinks that an economy could and should withstand. So it's a fine line. If inflation should come down naturally, possibly because growth stumbles a bit, then the potential to rebound becomes that much greater. Likewise, if confidence in Britain, because of our fiscal plans, means that our currency strengthens, that could have an impact. That sort of potentially makes exports harder, but it does make imports cheaper. Potentially it brings down inflation because commodity price hit isn't so bad. So there are all sorts of factors at work that make it very difficult to say just when we can put the inherited structural deficit behind us. I mean, politically, I would say we'll continue to blame Labour for as long as we possibly can. And it's interesting how still members on the opposite side stand up and blame the Conservative Party for things that happened, 15 years ago. So I suspect the politicians will keep banging away at it. But speaking as an economist and as a banker, I think realistically, our hands are tied in terms of what we can do to take things forward. But we are quite hostage to the ebbs and flows of things slightly beyond our control for the next couple of years. So, there is definitely an element of finger crossing in all of this.
But from what you were saying, you would hope that the main pain is over and we can sort of start to look forward to future budgets being not quite as aggressive as they have been this year.
Yeah, well, sort of. I think, to be perfectly honest, the main pain hasn't been felt yet, because the cuts will only take effect from this April as the new budgets to councils and to different services and so on are on their new basis. And then, my constituency bag is absolutely full of people anticipating the impact of the cuts on their own livelihood, but not as yet actually feeling them. So the pain on the ground will start to be felt this year, and there's no doubt it's going to be difficult. In one sense, we're only taking public spending back to the levels of 2005, but in another sense, if you take anything away from someone who depends on it, it makes it very difficult for them. So I don't underestimate the pain that will be felt on the ground. But in terms of the Treasury and the Chancellor, we certainly hope that that's it, and that from now on we can start to rebuild and move forward.
Okay, so we're still in the tunnel, but we might be able to see the light just about.
Hopefully, yeah.
Okay. Andrea Leadsom, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.